Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare
Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram,
Hare Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Chant and be happy.
Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, and welcome everyone to our weekly reading and discussions, beginning on Wednesdays, with Caitanya-caritāmṛta reading and discussion from the original unedited books. That means unedited by devotees post November 1977. So it was pre-Prabhupada's departure from this world. The books were edited under the approval of Srila Prabhupada during his manifested presence, of course, because he wanted that. But as far as changing the books, I believe there's over 50,000 edits of these books by our God brothers, people who put themselves in that position of responsibility by fabricating their service in that way, because from that service becomes fame. You become famous and you be respected, and you might make some money at it. It's possible. So these books that we're reading from, and we stress it at the beginning of the program. And there's one, I wanted to bring up a point about Prabhupada's management system, because a lot of people are not aware of how Prabhupada wanted the movement to be run when he was personally present with us. It was based on people that were felt responsible for preaching to take up the duty of temple president. So the temples, as they started to expand, were run by temple presidents, not by GBC members. The GBC members were supposed to simply come and supervise the bookkeeping, take a look and check and see that there wasn't any stealing or robbery. They wanted to make sure, Prabhupada wanted them to make sure that everybody was following the morning program and carrying out his instructions. So they were in a inspector type of role. But did they go on Sankirtan? Not really. Did they recruit any devotees, for example, in Montreal? Nandikeshwar, there have been a variety of presidents at the Montreal temple. The one I recall, Rochisha Dasi, Devi Dasi, was Nandikeshwar. And he was ambitious as a preacher at the time when he was in that responsibility. And through his work with the group of devotees that were with him, they organized themselves. They did candle business. They had an incense operation. They had book distribution. He opened up multiple restaurants, I think 2 or 3, and distributed prasadam. And there were books at the restaurants for distribution. So all those different kirtans were there. We used to organize a Maha Kirtan once a month in Toronto, and the Montreal devotees would come down. The devotees from Ottawa would come. And when Buffalo was still operating before it was shut down by Keith Ham, he shut it down. Then he was the so-called GBC. My friend Uda Maslokas used to have a poem, GBC, not for me. That was part of the poem. GBC, not for me. So these particular people were way out of their realm of understanding how to be a Sankirtan devotee. Did they ever go on the street? No. Look at Rachisha Devi Dasi, there's my witness, because she's listening carefully, because she saw it. I mean, you joined the temple, didn't you, Mother, when you were 16? was it 16? 16 years of age, everybody. See that? That's a lifetime of focus on serving Prabhupada and Krishna. And she's been inspired by many of her god brothers and sisters. They're good devotees from Montreal, that's for sure. But were they inspired by the GBC? No, actually, they were discouraged by them. And this was the situation. I was looking at the slides at the beginning of the class, and we want to thank the devotees that helped us, especially Shrestha Rupa Dasi, who's come on board as a active member of our production team. And I was looking at it, we put up that comment that I was the past chairman of the temple presidents back in the 70s. I thought, I still remember when my godbrothers elected me. I was wondering, why are you electing me? But anyway, whatever happened, the point was that the temple presidents back then were not recognized as very valuable instruments in Prabhupada's mission. And that was a big mistake by some of the other godbrothers. They did not understand the system. You know, people come up with the question, well, do you have any experience as a Ritvik priest, per se? Well, let me ask you there, Mr. Prabhu, 15 years old, somewhere in the world, that's asking me that question because you've been indoctrinated or misled by other people. When we were at the temples in those particular roles, Bauhudak in Vancouver, there was Lakshminath and Nandi, Keshwar, and myself. We have four of us. We were friends, by the way, and cooperating together to unify the preaching work as a group. We wasn't one after the other or one against the other. We were all a team. We felt like that. And like that, we conducted the preaching process as a unified team, because teamwork makes dreams work. But this is much different nowadays. Things have changed very much. Haribo, Dasa Avatar. The trucker, I know that's not saffron because you're wearing brahmachari. I know it's a trucking outfit, isn't it? Just kidding. So this idea, this understanding of cooperation amongst temple presidents. And when we're in Mayapur, and we were holding these, we were trying to become, because there were other godbrothers were undermining it all. That's what was going on. So there was a lot of strife and struggle even back then between the GBC, not for me, and the temple presidents, the preachers. So this person asked me, well, what was your role as a Ritvik officiator? Well, how about this? We ran the programs at the temples. The people would be invited over. They would come to the classes that we and our group were conducting. They would come to the arti ceremonies where we would lead the kirtans and inspire them with the chanting. Oh, really? And we would arrange the kitchen to operate on a 24-hour basis, especially in Toronto, Kirchhoff, Gopinath. We would arrange the program there for prasadam to be disseminated to people throughout the day and night. So people that were off the street could come and get some prasadam, and we would speak to them, either myself or our godbrothers, who are very qualified, and they become inspired, and we get them to buy books. Did a GBC do that? No. Well, they were too busy on the telephone or flying in and out or taking rest or doing whatever else they were doing. They weren't what we used the term back then, making devotees. That's a legitimate term, by the way. I don't want people to misunderstand. Prabhupada is the inspiration that brings people to Krishna consciousness. But we work together as a team to help these people become fired up to take up this process in association with other devotees. This is the way it was. Right, Roshisha? Go ahead. You can nod. Thank you. She knows, she's our witness. So, and she's very honest, by the way. She's not a cheater. She's not a liar. She's not a fake. She's a sincere devotee that's following this mission. And I want to thank you as well, Mother, for attending all of these classes, who you're very great example for everyone to see here without fail every week. And just another comment, just before I finish that, when the person became qualified after 6 months, Yaśodā, who sent him the letter of recommendation? Well, there's the temple president. In cooperation with the other devotees, we would discuss the person and they would get this letter of recommendation sent to Prabhupada, and then Prabhupada would send me back a letter and say, here, the name of the person is this, and the here's his beads. We'd send the beads over, they were sent back. And then he would ask me to perform the sacrifice, the fire jaga, on his behalf. And in this way, he conducted the initiation ceremony and expanded the movement that way. And that's what we're doing at PDA. No change. And we're very proud with the new people that have been initiated in the last 2 years or so, that they're becoming active with us to demonstrate this system of initiation. And we're going to go to a section here. I wanted to go to it. This was sent to me by Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu in one of his many emails, and we thank him for that. And if you want to be on his email mailing list, you can. You just have to be in touch with us, Ram Raghava, and we'll give that person his email address, and you'll get a prolific amount of emails, Mother Rachisha, from Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu. Look at, she's laughing. You see that? I'm using her. I'm not trying to embarrass you, Mother, but you are so intent on every word. You listen. A lot of people, they don't listen. That's why they don't come. They're not interested, Vijaya Pandit. That is the reason. They're not serious. It's no other reason. They've got some other reason to not come, and this isn't that important for them. That's all it is. If you thought it was important, you'd make the time to show up here. But you don't feel it's that important, so therefore you find another excuse in the world of dreams to do something else. That's what you do. But being a part of this sadhana bhakti, this regular program, and participating in it is one of the ways that you'll become fixed up and understand forensically this philosophy, which we are, as a team, working to produce for all of you to see on a weekly basis. And Mother Rachisha, look at all the verses that come up in the classes. Look at all the quotes that come up. Look at all the purports that refer to. And let's go to this email that Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu sent to me, that I sent to Ram Raghava. This is about initiation. And Prabhupada talks about what are the 5 stages of initiation. Just look at this. Think about this. Veda-based lecture and initiation, October 20th, 1968. How many people are going to the new group, the new sectarian group, and understanding these facts? What are the 5 stages of initiation? Prabhupada says, the initiation means the third stage of joining this movement, third stage. The first stage is Shraddha, a little faith, just like our students are going in the marketplace, they're chanting, and many people are contributing some money. Somebody's purchasing our Back to Godhead. This is the beginning of faith. Oh, here is a nice movement. Let me cooperate. Adau Shraddha. Then, if he becomes a little more interested, then he comes here into the class. All right, let's see what these people are teaching. This Krishna consciousness. Who's teaching? The people at the temple. Yes, so they come. So that is the second stage. The first stage is automatic sympathy for this movement. The second stage is joining or associating with us our activities. Just like you have kindly come here, you're hearing me. Similarly, if somebody becomes more interested or his faith is still further advanced, then he comes, that is the second stage, Raghava. The third stage, Madhya Lila 23:14. In the beginning, there must be faith. You have to have interest. Then one becomes interested in associating with pure devotees. Thereafter, one is initiated by the spiritual master and executes the regulated principles under his orders. Who's he referring to here? Who is he referring to, everyone? Is he referring to some new guru? No, he's referring to himself. Thus, one is freed from all unwanted habits and becomes firmly fixed in devotional service. So 6 months of training. Thereafter, one develops taste and attachment. This is the way of sadhana bhakti, the execution of devotional service according to the regulated principles. Gradually, emotions intensify, and finally there is an awakening of love. This is the gradual development of love of Godhead for the devotee interested in Krishna consciousness. Now, the initiation means beginning of the activities. Beginning of the activities. How can one develop Krishna consciousness to the perfectional state? That is called initiation. It is not that initiation means finished. No, it means to start. It is the third stage. Then the fourth stage will be one who is initiated. If he follows the rules and regulations, and if he chants Hare Krishna with a fixed up counting, someone asked me, how do you do that? How do you do the counting? Well, see, here's the counting beads. There you go. There's those 20 beads. That's in case you decide to chant 108 rounds someday. And if he chants Hare Krishna with a fixed up counting, some people say to me, oh, I just chant. No, you got to chant, you got to count. You got to slide the beads, you got to circulate them in your fingers, in your thumb, like that. And you got to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 16 times 108. It's 27,428, I think. Someone can calculate it for me. And if he chants Krishna with a fixed up, then gradually all his misgivings will vanish. What are the misgivings? We ask our students, is then he becomes fixed up? Yes, just like one student, Mr. Anderson. I've not seen him, but simply by associating with other devotees, he has written that I wish to become my whole being for this Krishna consciousness. See that? This is called nishta, fixed up. Tato, nishta, tato, ruchi. Ruchi means they get a taste. Why these boys are going out. This chanting, they've got a taste. They've developed a taste. Oh yeah. Otherwise, for nothing, they are not wasting time. They're educated. And by the way, I wanted to mention many of our members here that are active with us are educated people. material education is a prerequisite, but a lot of our members, Prabhupada liked it, that intelligent people were educated, were coming to his movement. He cannot give it up. And I received so many letters Prabhupada gave, so many letters. And we're going to eventually develop that, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, one letter a class. That's a plan for the future, that we're going to be reading these letters of Prabhupada. Why? Because this is a forensic study for those who want to get a PhD in Krishna consciousness. Some students, they could not cope with their godbrothers. Look at that. Just like a lot of us. We can cope with them, but they're intolerable to be around. They're bad association. So we don't go away, we send them away. That's the fact. In fact, we have rules. You can't come here if you're a ISKCON guru or a disciple, unless you get permission. We'll give you permission. But they write that I cannot go. He's captured, he cannot quit the company. Or some misunderstanding, he cannot live with God brothers. So we couldn't live with them, Gopal and these other people, but we've created our own environment, which is based on Guru Shastra and Sadhu. So that is called Ashakti, attachment. Tata Shakti in Tato Bhava. Then gradually increasing some ecstatic position, always thinking of Krishna, and then perfectional stage that he loves Krishna, cent percent. This is the process. And this is a reference. How did you like that? Rachisha, isn't that amazing? 5 stages. Something to learn we didn't know. And that's grace of Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu to source it for us and send it out. And I was at least conscious of the fact of how valuable learning this philosophy is if you're trying to get out of the cycle of repeated birth and death, which is somewhat difficult. Yes, it is. You have to be forensic. We're going to go to another section quickly, which is from Nectar of Instruction. And I've been looking over this today and yesterday, reading it over and over again. I'm going to read the verse. There are 6 principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service. 1, being enthusiastic. 2, endeavoring with confidence. 3, being patient. It's text 3, brother. Being patient. 4, acting according to regulated principles, such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna, abandoning the association of non-devotees, and following in the footsteps of previous acharyas. That's a very significant point. Following. It's an imprint. Don't try to step outside of that strict rule. It's a strict rule. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service, which is bhakti yoga. That is the success of a devotee, to be engaged. Can you find the section we were at in the purport, Prabhu? Yeah. Go ahead, keep going.
I thought we were in text 2 purport last time.
No, we finished that.
Okay.
Let me see where I was. I get kind of reading it over and over again. It's in all phases of life, one has to perform devotional activities under the direction of the spiritual master in order to attain perfection in bhakti yoga. This is page 31. Krishna is all-pervading. Therefore, nothing is independent of Krishna, as Krishna himself states. maya tatam idam sarvam, jagad abhyakta murtina, matstau sarva bhutani, nachaham tesha vastita. Be by me in my unmanifested form. This entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. Under the direction of the bona fide spiritual master, one has to make everything favorable for Krishna's service. So it's one who says he is my devotee is not my devotee. Prabhupada says in Nectar of Devotion, one who is the devotee of my devotee, he is my devotee. And that is the essence of this parampara system. Bona fide spiritual master and serve under his directions. For example, at present we are using a dictaphone. The materialist who invented this machine intended it for businessmen or writers of mundane subject matters. He certainly never thought of using the dictaphone in Krishna's service. But we are using this dictaphone to write Krishna conscious literature. Of course, the manufacture of the dictaphone is wholly within the energy of Krishna. All the parts of the instrument, including the electronic functions, are made from different combinations and interactions of the 5 basic material types of material energy, namely Bhumi, Jala, Agni, Vayu, and Akasha. The inventor used his brain to make this complicated machine in his brain, as well as the ingredients were supplied by Krishna. According to the statement of Krishna, Matstani Sarva Bhutani, everything is depending on my energy. Thus, the devotee can understand that since nothing is independent of Krishna's energy, here's the key statement: everything should be dovetailed in his service, like we're doing with the computers and internet technology now. This renunciation does not mean give everything up. It means engage everything that you have in Krishna's service. Very important point, everyone. So we engage money in Krishna's service. We engage technology, your computers, everything that you have to serve Krishna in cooperation with other devotees. The devotees find the correct means by which, the devotees find, look at that, the correct means by which everything can be utilized in the service of the Lord, just what I said. Nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagyam uchate. The execution of devotional service is not a matter of idle meditation. Some people think, oh, I meditated all day. What'd you do? Look up in the sky and space out? That's what you did. Speculating and dreaming. But practical action in the foreground of spiritual life. Practical action. Do. Like we have so much to do. I've been going through it with a few members of our group, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, reminding them, we've got to distribute the Bhagavatams. People ask me, what's the most important thing on your mind? I go, well, to distribute the Delhi Bhagavatams. These activities must be executed with patience. One should not be impatient in Krishna consciousness. Indeed, this Krishna consciousness movement was started single-handedly, and in the beginning there was no response. But because we continued to execute our devotional activities with patience, people gradually began to understand the importance of this movement, and now they are eagerly participating. One should not be impatient in discharging devotional service, and one should take instruction from the spiritual master and execute them with patience, depending on the mercy of Guru and Krishna. Depending. The successful execution of Krishna consciousness activities requires both patience and confidence. I read this. I'm going to go down. The devotee thinks, Avashya Rikshibi Krishna. Krishna will surely protect me and help me for the successful execution of devotional service. This is called confidence. You have to have confidence and believe that Krishna was As I've already explained, one should not be idle, but should be very enthusiastic with executing the regulated principles, tat karma pravartana. Neglect of the regulated principles will destroy devotional service in this Krishna consciousness movement. There are 4 basic regulated principles: forbidding illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, and intoxication. A devotee must be very enthusiastic, so you have to check. We have a thermometer that we're going to distribute to everybody. What is it? It's the enthusiastic thermometer. You have to measure your temperature. And if it says you're enthusiastic, well, you're making advancement. If he becomes slack in following any of them, his progress will certainly be checked. Srila Rupa Goswami therefore recommends tat karma pravartanat. One must strictly follow the regulated principles of Vedi Bhakti. Prabhupada called them the principles of freedom. In addition to these 4 prohibitions, there are positive regulated principles, niyama, such as the daily chanting of 16 rounds on Japamala. These regulative activities must be faithfully performed with enthusiasm. This is called tat karma pravartanat, or varied engagement in devotional service. Furthermore, in order to be successful in devotional service, one must give up the association of undesirable people. You have to. Once Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was asked by one of his household devotees about the general principles of Vaishnavism, as well as the general routine of activities of the Vaishnava. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately replied, Asat Sangha Tyaga, E Vaishnava Achara. Characteristically, a Vaishnava is one who gives up the association of worldly people or non-devotees. Srila Narottam Das Thakur is therefore recommended. Vandera Charana Sevi Bhakti Sanavas. One has to live in the company of pure devotees and execute the regulated principles laid down by the previous acharyas, the 6 Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. If one lives in the association of devotees, there's little chance of associating with non-devotees. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness was opening many centers just to invite people to live in the company of devotees and practice the regulated principles of spiritual life. Devotional service means transcendental activities on the transcendental platform. There is no contamination by the 3 modes of material nature. That is called Vishuddha Sattva, the platform of pure goodness, or goodness free from the contamination of the qualities of passion and ignorance. In this Krishna consciousness movement, we require everyone to rise early in the morning by 4 a.m. and attend Mangal Arati. Or morning worship, then read Srimad Bhagavatam, yes, perform kirtan and so forth. This is called Sattvabritti, or following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas who expertly filled every moment of time with Krishna consciousness. And we're going to end there. The most valuable asset we possess is our time, and the use of it as given by these directions in the nectar of instruction by Srila Prabhupada in his verses constitute the proper understanding of this topic for all of us. And we should carefully study these books. We've been reading them over and over again, and adopt them into our what? I'll give the answer. Your routine what your routine is, your habits, how you conduct yourself day after day. It's a routine. And this will lead us back home, back to Godhead. If we carefully follow the instructions of our spiritual master, His Divine Grace A.C, Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, and everybody respond after me, Ki, Jai. That's what you do. It's supposed to be a big one. Let me do it again. Srila Prabhupada, Ki. Okay. I know you're doing that. So thank you, Vijay Pandit. We're going to move to our next section of the program, which is a lecture by Srila Prabhupada. So keep your ears to the monitor and listen carefully to this lecture by His Divine Grace.
Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam. So there is no question of Arjuna's considering whether he would fight or not. It is sanctioned by Krishna, so fight must be there. Just like when we are walking, the question was raised, why what takes place? That is not a very difficult subject to understand. Because every one of us has got a fighting spirit. Even children fight, cats and dogs fight, birds fight, ants fight, we have seen it. So why not human being? The fighting spirit is there. That is one of the symptoms of living condition. Fight. So when that fighting should take place? Of course, at the present moment, by the ambitious politicians, they fight. But fighting, according to Vedic civilization, fighting means dharma juddha, on religious principle, not by whims of political ideas, ism. Just like now fighting is going on two political groups, the communist and the capitalist. They are trying to avoid only fight, but the fighting is going on. As soon as America is in some field, immediately Russia is also there. In the last fighting between India and Pakistan, as soon as President Nixon sent the 7th Fleet on the Indian Ocean, Bay of Bengal, almost in front of India, this was illegal. But very puffed up America, so sent the 7th Fleet, maybe to show sympathy with the Pakistan, but immediately our Russian friend also appeared. Therefore, America had to come back. Otherwise, I think America would have attacked on behalf of Pakistan. So this is going on. Fighting you cannot stop. Many people are thinking how to stop war. That is impossible. It is nonsense proposal. It cannot. Because the fighting spirit is there in everyone. That is a symptom of living in it. In children who has no politics, no enmity, they fight for 5 minutes against their friends. So, the fighting spirit is there. Now, how you should be utilized. Our Krishna Consciousness movement is there. We say consciousness. We don't say stop fight or do this, do that, do that. No. Everything should be done in Krishna consciousness. That is our purpose. Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe. Whatever you do, it must have some relationship with the satisfaction of Krishna. If Krishna is satisfied, then you act. That is Krishna consciousness. Krishnendriya tripti vancha taranam prem. This is love. Just like you love somebody, for the sake of your beloved, you can do anything. And we do sometimes. Similarly, the same thing should be transferred to Krishna. That's all. Try to educate yourself how to love Krishna and act for Krishna only. This is the perfection of life. Sabai pumsang paro dharma jato bhakti radho khaji. Bhakti means service. Bhaja sevayam, the bhaja dhatu. It is used for the purpose of rendering service. Bhaja. And bhaja, there is Sanskrit grammar, it's ti pratyaya. To make it noun, this is verb. So there are pratyayas, krit pratyaya, ti pratyaya, many pratyayas. So bhajadhatu ti equal to bhakti. So bhakti means to satisfy Krishna. Bhakti cannot be applied to anyone else. If somebody says that I am a great devotee of Kali, goddess Kali, that is not bhakti, that is business. Because any demigod you worship, there is some purpose behind that. Generally, people take to become a devotee of goddess Kali for eating meat. That is their purpose. The Vedic culture, those who are meat eaters, they have been advised that don't eat meat purchased from the slaughterhouse or from the market. Actually, this system was never current anywhere, all over the world, that to maintain slaughterhouse. This is latest invention. We talk sometimes with Christian gentlemen, and when he inquire, the Lord Christ says, "Thou shalt not kill." Why you are killing? They give evidence that Christ also ate meat sometimes. Sometimes Christ ate meat, that's all right, but did Christ say that you maintain big slaughterhouse and go on eating meat? There is no common sense. Christ might have eaten sometimes. If there was nothing available for eating, what could you do? That is another question. In great necessity, when there is no other food, except taking meat, that time is coming. In this age, Kali Yuga, gradually food grains will be reduced. It is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 12th canto. No rice, no wheat, no milk, no sugar will be available. One has to eat meat. This will be the condition. And maybe to eat the human flesh also. This sinful life is degrading so much so that they will become more and more sinful. Tanaham disata kuran chipami ajasrandu junis. Those who are demons, those who are sinful, nature's law is to place him in such condition that he will become more and more a demon, so that he will never be able to understand what is God. This is nature's law. If you want to forget God, then God will put you in such a condition that you can never understand what is God. That is demonic life. That time is also coming. At the present moment, still a few men are interested. What is God? Artha-arthati jigyasu jnani. But time is coming ahead when there will be no sense to understand God. That is the last stage of Kali Yuga, and at that time Kalki Avatar. Kalki Avatar will come. At that time there is no preaching of God consciousness, simply killing. Kalki Avatar with his sword will simply massacre. Then again Satyayuga will come. Again golden age will come.
So much revelation here. That was startling. So much information. Tri Kalagya, past, present, and future. The spiritual master can see the past, the present, and the future. And Prabhupada was explaining here about the state of the Kali Yuga. Nowadays, people are very disturbed, as you see, and this social media platforms that exist, they've become tools to constantly inform people of the troubles that are going on in this world. Yes, we're so aware of the fighting in Ukraine. And do you notice, Prabhu Vijaya Pandit, here Prabhupada was mentioning a political situation back then. Someone said to me recently, oh, don't bring up these things, what's going on in the world. That's not Krishna conscious. Well, Prabhupada here gave a perfect example how he said that the Americans had come into the ocean and then the Russians came. He was aware of these situations. A devotee is conscious of things. He doesn't think about them, but he's not unconscious of reality. And for many people, they ask us guidance, how to see things. We're not some kind of Buddhist monk in the mountains that knows nothing. No, we're in the society. We know what's going on. We see the atrocities, the mistakes, the things that are going on. And we're going to comment on that. Absolutely. And we have a very significant way to look at it, Prabhus. And it's from a Krishna conscious point of view. And the good devotees will ask us this advice. How do we see this as Krishna's mercy? And we'll give it to them. And one last point I wanted to bring up. This situation that we're talking about of the conflicts that are going on pre-Prabhupada's pastimes when he was present with us, pre-November and post-November 1977, the whole thing is a pastime. These are all Prabhupada's pastimes. We're not here to criticize people or fault find. We are analyzing and explaining the reality, and we'll do that in this next section of our program, where we're going forward with the reading of Caitanya-caritāmṛta and the class and discussion headed up by His Grace Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu here on a Wednesday night and it could be a Thursday morning for you, depending where you are, here at the Prabhupada Disciples Association, Hare Krishna Society, Caitanya-caritāmṛta, reading and discussion. Let's move forward with the next section, which is the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava, and then the slokas and the verses and purports. Hare Krishna.
Sai. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Yaśodā-nandana Dāsa Yaśodā-nandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Shri Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivas Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Sri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giridhavan ki jai, Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadvip Dham ki jai, Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Ganga Mai ki jai, Jamuna Mai ki jai, Tulasi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you from Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskritya, Narayanam namaskritya, Naram cheva narottamam, Naram cheva narottamam, Devim Saraswatim Vyasam, Devim Saraswatim Vyasam, Tato Jayam Mudirayet, Tato Jayam Mudirayet. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam and Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead, Narayana, 2, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. From Srimad Bhagavatam 1-4. Welcome, everyone, to this reading and discussion on Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta. As we do every week, it should be noted right from the start that this reading is being conducted on the basis of the original 1975 version, the non-adulterated version, and all English synonyms, translations, and purports are from His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. As we do every week, we will be reading a few selected verses from the Adi Lila of Caitanya-caritāmṛta, which explains the meaning and the benefit of hearing this powerful transcendental literature. Jai Jai Sri Caitanya Jai Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Glory to Sri Caitanya and Nityananda. Glory to Advaita Chandra and glory to all the devotees of Sri Gaura, Lord Chaitanya. Etina Thakur Gaudiya ke Karye Chenayatma Sat. Etinera Charana Vandan Tire Morenat. These 3 deities of Vrindava, Madan Mohan, Govinda, and Gopinatha, have absorbed the heart and soul of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, followers of Lord Chaitanya. I worship their lotus feet, for they are the lords of my heart. Grantera Rambi Karimangala Charana, Guru Vaishnava Bhagavanti Nerasmarana. In the beginning of this narration, simply by remembering the spiritual master, the devotees of the Lord, and the personality of Godhead, I have invoked their benedictions. Tinera smarane ai vigna vinashana, anayase ai nijavanchita purana. Such remembrance destroys all difficulties and very easily enables one to fulfill his own desires. I just want to make a brief comment here. Sometimes devotees ask the question, why do you spend so much time reading all this Sanskrit and the word for word and all these long purports This was Prabhupada's explanation in text number 121, that this will clear out all obstacles. Such remembrance destroys all difficulties and very easily enable one to fulfill his own desires. This is a benediction from Krishna Das Kaviraj. Next, Simangala Charanoi Trivida Prakar Vastu Nirdesha Shirvada Namaskara. The invocation involves three processes: defining the objective, offering benedictions, and offering obeisances. Let us proceed with our text for today. We are reading from Adi Lila, chapter 6, text number 14 and 15. We will read the Sanskrit text, and then we will continue with the long purport, the Bengali text. Maya cheduyam sanimitta upadan, maya nimitta itu upadan pradan, purusha yeshwara chedvimurti hai, Vishwasrishtikara nimitta upadana lan. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Just as the external energy consists of two parts, the efficient cause, nimitta, and the material cause, upadana, Maya being the efficient cause and pradana, the material cause, so Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, assumes two forms to create the material world with the efficient and material causes. We were reading on page number 528, and here we're starting. The Bhagavad Gita also further affirms Purushaha Prakritisto hi Bhukte Prakriti Jan Gunan Karanam Gunasangasya Sadasad Yoni Janmasu. The living entity in material nature follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus, he meets with good and evil amongst various species. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, text 22. The soul is given different types of bodies. For example, were souls not given varieties of three bodies, the different varieties of fruits and flowers could not be produced. Each class of trees produce a particular kind of fruit and flower. It is not that there is no distinction between the different classes. An individual tree does not produce flowers of different colors nor fruits of different tastes. There are demarcated classes as we find them among humans, animals, birds, and other species. There are innumerable living entities and their activities performed in the material world according to the different qualities of the material modes of nature, give them the chance to have different kinds of life. Thus, one should understand that pradana, matter, cannot act unless impelled by a living creature. The materialistic theory that matter independently acts cannot therefore be accepted. Matter is called prakriti, which refers to female energy. A woman is prakriti, a female. A female cannot produce a child without the association of a purusha, a man. The purusha causes the birth of a child because the man injects the soul, which is shelter in the semina, into the womb of the woman. The woman, as the material cause, supplies the body of the soul, and as the efficient cause, she gives birth to the child. But although the woman appears to be the material and efficient cause of the child, of the birth of a child, originally the purusha, the male, is the cause of the child. Similarly, this material world gives rise to varieties of manifestations due to the entrance of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu within the universe. He is present not only within the universe, but within the bodies of all living creatures, as well as within the atom. We understand from the Brahma Samhita that the Supersoul is present within the universe, within the atom, and within the heart of every living creature. Therefore, the theory that matter is the cause of the entire cosmic manifestation cannot be accepted by any man with sufficient knowledge of matter and spirit. Materialists sometimes give the argument that as straw eaten by a cow produces milk automatically, so material nature under different circumstances produces varieties of manifestations. Thus, originally matter is the cause. In refuting this argument, we may say that an animal of the same species as the cow, namely the bull, also eats straw like a cow but does not produce milk. Under the circumstances, it cannot be said that straw in connection with a particular species produces milk. The conclusion should be that there is superior management, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita chapter 9, text 10, where the Lord says, Maya dyakshena prakritihi suyate sacharacharam. This material nature is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, and it is producing all moving and unmoving beings. The Supreme Lord says, Maya dyakshena, under my superintendence. When he desires that the cow produces milk by eating straw, there is milk. And when he does not so desire it, the mixture of such straw cannot produce milk. If the way of material nature had been that straw produced milk, a stack of straw could also produce milk. But that is not possible. And the same straw given to a human female also cannot produce milk. That is the meaning of Bhagavad Gita's statement that only under superior orders does anything take place. Matter itself has no power to produce independently. The conclusion, therefore, is that matter, which has no self-knowledge, cannot be the cause of the material creation. The ultimate creator is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If matter were accepted as the original cause of creation, all the authorized scriptures in the world would be useless, for in every scripture, especially the Vedic scriptures like the Manusmriti, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is said to be the ultimate creator. The Manusmriti is considered the highest Vedic direction to humanity. Manu is the giver of law to mankind. And in the Manusmriti, it is clearly stated that before the creation, the entire universal space was darkness, without information and without variety, and was in a state of complete suspension, like a dream. Everything was darkness. The Supreme Personality of Godhead then entered the universal space, and although he is invisible, he created the visible cosmic manifestation. In the material world, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not manifested by his personal presence, but the presence of the cosmic manifestation in different varieties is the proof that everything has been created under his direction. He entered the universe with all creative potencies, and thus he removed the darkness of the unlimited space. The form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is described to be transcendental, very subtle, eternal, all-pervading, inconceivable, and therefore non-manifested to the material senses of a conditioned living creature. He desired to expand himself into many living entities, and with such a desire, he first created a vast expanse of water within the universal space, and then impregnated that water with living entities. By that process of impregnation, a massive body appeared, blazing like 1,000 suns, and in that body was the first creative principle, Brahma. The great Parasharishi also confirms this in the Vishnu Purana. He says that the cosmic manifestation visible to us is produced from Lord Vishnu and sustained under his protection. He is the principal maintainer and destroyer of the universal form. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Meritam Yena Tasme Shri Gurave Namaha Namaum Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Gurave Namaha Bhagavad Vandana Khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadatehi Visheshatah Adadhanastrinam Danteridam Yache Punah Punah Srimadrupa Padam Bhoja Dhulishyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavatusmyaham Sadadaso Asmi Sarvata Tat Kripa Pikshako Nityam Tat Prishta Sat Karomishvam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Whenever we recite the Brahma Samhita during worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, during deity worship, Prabhupada recommended that we should chant the Brahma Samhita. This was a well-known instruction from His Divine Grace, as well as the Purusha Sukta. Purusha Sukta is a hymn from the Vedas, which describes the creation of the material world, the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana or Vishnu, and what are the benefits of understanding his position. Now, in the Brahma Samhita in chapter 5, text number 1, there's a very interesting line, Sanskrit line, Sarva Karana Karanam, that Krishna, the Supreme Lord, is the cause of all causes. Ishvaraha Parama Krishnaha Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. This is the description of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Interestingly, in one lecture, Srila Prabhupada stated that the description of God is given in the Taittiriya Upanishad, Yato Vayimani Bhutani Jayanti, that God is the personality from whom everything comes from, all living entities and this material comes from. He maintains the world and all living entities, and at the end, he dissolves everything. Prabhupada said, this is the definition of God. Interestingly, when we carefully study Srila Prabhupada's books, I noticed that Vishwakarma Prabhu mentioned that we have a PhD program here. We try to study Prabhupada's books in the manner and method that Srila Prabhupada recommended. Prabhupada wanted devotees to study each and every word in his books. We're not very fond of big, outstanding speeches and talking down to people and these, fire and brimstone sermons. No, this is not a political program. This is a program to understand Prabhupada's teachings on various topics according to the specific original books of Srila Prabhupada. I'm referring to his first edition books, not the adulterated versions, not the concocted versions, no, the original versions of Srila Prabhupada. Why? People may say, well, Prabhupada said this and Prabhupada said that and Prabhupada authorized such and such editor to do this. Well, that's nice. But at the end, in 1977, for those who know, during the Rascal Editors conversation, when Srila Prabhupada found out that some of his books were being re-edited during his manifested presence, he said, no, the next printing again should be the original way. Personally, I was fortunate. Maybe Prabhupada saw I had no brains. My brain is empty inside my head. He says, when you teach the children, what do you do? How do you teach the children in the Gurukul? I said, well, we read your book. We read the Sanskrit text. We read the word for word. We read the translation. Then we read the purport. Every time in the purport that there's a Sanskrit verse or a Sanskrit quotation or a Bengali quotation, whether it's one word, two words, or an entire verse, we have one of the students put it aside and write in a notebook. Any examples or analogies are also listed in a separate book. Any major points of philosophy that are there, we list them like bullet point. Then we start drawing up questions so that the students can become familiar, like what is the absolute truth? Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaniti, Shabdyate. In this way, we systematically study your book, Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, yes, you teach them like that and you teach the devotees like that. Now, I'm not a very good teacher, but that instruction is applicable to all devotees. This is very important because what we see nowadays is political Vaishnavism, where classes are given. First of all, they start with concocted kirtans and concocted bhajans. Then they go on with many times classes which are political talks. We're not interested in political talks. We're interested in what Prabhupada taught, how did he teach it, and how does that apply to our lives? That is why Prabhupada wanted devotees to learn each and every word in his books. And this is important. People have to be willing to take the time. If somebody says, well, I don't have the time, I got a job, I got a wife, I got kids, I got a business, I got to travel, I got to do this, I got to do that. Make the time. Somebody sent me a YouTube lecture where Prabhupada said, read, read, read. All of you may have heard that talk with Prabhupada, get up, you rascal, get up, you rascal, stop sleeping, get up. So many times Prabhupada in these different admonishments and conversations is telling us, take advantage of these books. But devotees don't read the books, they concoct things. Like somebody asked me recently, oh, why do you people read from our living guru? What's the purpose of this? The purpose is to clarify and understand the false philosophies and the real philosophy from Srila Prabhupada. Anybody who is reasonably familiar or even a little familiar with what has been happening since 1977 and before knows there's been a lot of concocted ideas, concocted ideologies and philosophies by the very same people that were supposed to prevent these philosophies from infiltrating Srila Prabhupada's society and movement. Therefore, it becomes necessary to analyze what people say and what Prabhupada says. I call it, let Srila Prabhupada speak for himself. This is important. This is one of the motto, one of the basic points of this program, of the HCOS program, the PDA program. Let Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace, speak for himself. We don't need the interpretation of some self-appointed acharyas or some elected voting gurus by some political process. No, we can hear directly from Prabhupada. Just the other day, I was discussing with Vijay Pandit, why did it take almost 14 years for the leaders of this movement to get all of Prabhupada's conversation published? Why? That should have been the first order of business immediately in 1977. And the main conversations which occurred in 1977 on very important topics should have been made available for all the devotees to hear. Instead, it was suppressed. It was repressed. Why? What was the agenda behind this suppression? Srila Prabhupada's letters were not published by the leaders of this movement. They were published by Sulochan, another devotee who hijacked the letters and went to Mexico to publish the original 5-volume set. They did not want these letters to be published. Why? What were they trying to do? What were they trying to project? For those who know, the whole self-appointed Paramahamsa successor myth was at play. That's why they didn't publish the conversations. That's why they did not publish the letters. And in this program, we have taken a vow to present Prabhupada's teachings in its pure and original form. You've seen this in the beginning presentation. Srishta Rupa Mataji has presented this very nicely. She's listed in the beginning, the original teachings, unchanged. Why? Because the minute you start changing, it's a different thing. Why is it that these oldest Vaishnava Sampradayas, the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, and the Madhva Sampradaya never changed a syllable of their acharyas. Somebody may say, well, that was all in Sanskrit or Tamil or Kannada language. Prabhupada's books were written in English. Okay. He allowed one editor, I agree with, to edit the books. Then some editors came along and started to re-edit the books. Prabhupada said, no, the next printing again should be the original way. Now, I will admit, I was not raised in the English language. I was raised in Quebec, en français. I don't have very good command of the English language, and some people may say you still have an accent. Okay. But I understand enough, having worked for lawyers for over 25 years, when the word original way, that refers to an original message. It's not complicated to understand. Ce n'est pas difficile à comprendre. Ce n'est pas compliqué. It's not complicated. It only becomes complicated when there's a personal motive to change the philosophy. He has seen the truth. They have seen the truth. Jagannath Das Babaji initiated Bhaktivedanta Thakur. Oh, they did not like that. Oh, they did not like that. So they changed it. Who authorized any one of you in this movement to change Srila Prabhupada's sacred words? Who are you? Who gave you that position to change the words of the Paramamsa Shaktesha avatar, Nitya Siddha pure devotee? There's a lecture, which is, many of you know this, probably all of you, where perhaps the minute you change, the purity is lost. The authority is lost. This is why all the problems from this movement comes from this book changes. It is disrespectful and offensive to His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. You heard Vishwakarma talk. You heard him very clearly. Srila Prabhupada was a trikalagnya. He knew past, present, and future. He knew that people would try to do this in the future. That's why he tried to tell him, don't change the books. Reprint it as originally printed. I was told a story by a devotee in Badger, California in 1993. He was in Srila Prabhupada's room, and devotees had come there to discuss about printing and publishing. And Prabhupada had the Krishna book on his desk. And what he did is he took the Krishna book. He says, next time you print that book, he pointed to the front page. He says, you should reprint from this. You turn to the back page, exactly the same, and all the contents. Do not change anything. And while Prabhupada was still present, that nonsense disease, that cancerous disease of changing started. They changed the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. They changed the Upanishad. They changed other books. All of you, be smart. You're all intelligent. You're all good devotees. Protest this by not supporting these book changes. This is very important. This is out of respect and affection for His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, the current Acharya of the Gaudiya Sampradaya. Back to you in the studio. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu, very well spoken. And recently this week, I was conversing with a member of our group on the difference between Vani and Vapu Rupa Rama Raghava. And I had this person go to the final words of Prabhupada's closing comments after writing the entire Caitanya-caritāmṛta. Can you imagine? The way it's typeset and presented turned out to be 17 volumes. And we're reading in the first Adi Leela section tonight all these complicated explanations of our Vaishnava philosophy. But when you read the final concluding words, can you bring them up for me, Ram Raghava? That's Anchalila, the final 5th volume, the concluding words. I just want us to, and I had that person read it to me. Sometimes I like Yaśodā for other devotees to read to me so I can hear it from a different perspective. And I think I'm going to have Ram Raghava read this to us, just so all of you get the idea, what we're really trying to say is to repeat exactly what Prabhupada has said in his concluding words and how we should represent him to the material world and the Kali Yuga citizens, how we should present his philosophy, our philosophy to them so they can get out of this material world. Go ahead, start reading. Ram.
Start from the beginning?
Yeah, by all means. This is just Prabhus, listen carefully.
Today, Sunday, November 10, 1974, corresponding to the 10th of Kartik, Chaitanya era 488, the 11th day of the dark fortnight, the Rama Ekadashi, we have now finished the English translation of Sri Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami's Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta in accordance with the authorized order of His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj, my beloved eternal spiritual master, guide, and friend. Although according to material vision, His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada passed away from this material world on the last day of December 1936, I still consider His Divine Grace to be always present with me by His Vani, His words. There are two ways of association, by Vani and by Vapu. Vani means words, and Vapu means physical presence. Physical presence is sometimes appreciable and sometimes not, but Vani continues to exist eternally. Therefore, we must take advantage of the Vani, not the physical presence. Bhagavad Gita, for example, is the Vani of Lord Krishna. Although Krishna was personally present 5,000 years ago and is no longer physically present from the materialistic point of view, Bhagavad Gita continues. In this connection, we may call to memory the time when I was fortunate enough to meet His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada sometime in the year 1922. Srila Prabhupada had come from Calcutta to Sridham Mayapur to start the missionary activities of the Gaudiya Math. He was sitting in a house at Ulta Danga when, through the inducement of an intimate friend, the late Sriman Narendranath Malik, I had the opportunity to meet His Divine Grace for the first time. I do not remember the actual date of the meeting, but at that time I was one of the managers of Dr. Bosch's laboratory in Calcutta. I was a newly married young man, addicted to Gandhi's movement and dressed in khadi. Fortunately, even at our first meeting, His Divine Grace advised me to preach the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in English in the Western countries. Because at that time I was a complete nationalist, a follower of Mahatma Gandhi's, I submitted to His Divine Grace that unless our country were freed from foreign subjugation, no one would hear the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu seriously. Of course, we had some argument on this subject, but at last I was defeated and convinced that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's message is the only panacea for suffering humanity. I was also convinced that the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was then in the hands of a very expert devotee, and that surely the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would spread all over the world. I could not, however, immediately take up his instructions to preach, but I took his words very seriously and was always thinking of how to execute his order, although I was quite unfit to do so. In this way, I passed my life as a householder until 1950, when I retired from family life as a vanaprastha. With no companion, I loitered here and there until 1959, when I took sannyas. Then I was completely ready to discharge the order of my spiritual master. Previously, in 1936, just before His Divine Grace passed away at Jagannath Puri, I wrote him a letter asking what I could do to serve him. In reply, he wrote me a letter dated 13 December 1936, ordering me, in the same way, to preach in English the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as I had heard it from him. After he passed away, I started the fortnightly magazine Back to Godhead sometime in 1944 and tried to spread the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through this magazine. After I took sannyas, a well-wishing friend suggested that I write books instead of magazines. Magazines, he said, might be thrown away, but books remain perpetually. Then I attempted to write Srimad Bhagavatam. Before that, when I was a householder, I had written on Srimad Bhagavad Gita and had completed about 1100 pages, but somehow or other the manuscript was stolen. In any case, when I had published Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, in 3 volumes in India, I thought of going to the USA. By the mercy of His Divine Grace, I was able to come to New York on September 17, 1965. Since then, I have translated many books, including Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, a summary, and many others. In the meantime, I was induced to translate Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta and publish it in an elaborate version. In his leisure time in later life, His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur would simply read Caitanya-caritāmṛta. It was his favorite book. He used to say that there would be a time when the foreigners would learn the Bengali language to read Caitanya-caritāmṛta. The work on this translation began about 18 months ago. Now, by the grace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, it is finished. In this connection, I have to thank my American disciples, especially Shriman Pradyumna Das Adhikari, Shriman Nitai Das Adhikari, Shriman Advaita Das Brahmachari, and many other boys and girls who are sincerely helping me in writing, editing, and publishing all these literatures. I think that His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is always seeing my activities and guiding me within my heart by his words. As it is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye, a spiritual inspiration comes from within the heart, wherein the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in His Paramatma feature, is always sitting with all His devotees and associates. It is to be admitted that whatever translation work I have done is through the inspiration of my spiritual master, because personally I am most insignificant and incompetent to do this materially impossible work. I do not think myself a very learned scholar, but I have full faith in the service of my spiritual master, His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. If there is any credit to my activities of translating, it is all due to His Divine Grace. Certainly, if His Divine Grace were personally present at this time, it would have been a great occasion for jubilation. But even though He is not physically present, I am confident that He is very pleased by this work of translation. He was very fond of seeing many books published to spread the Krishna Consciousness movement. Therefore, our society, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, has formed to execute the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. It is my wish that devotees of Lord Chaitanya all over the world enjoy this translation, and I am glad to express my gratitude to the learned men in the Western countries who are so pleased with my work that they are ordering in advance all my books that will be published in the future. On this occasion, therefore, I request my disciples who are determined to help me in this work to continue their cooperation fully, so that philosophers, scholars, religionists, and people in general all over the world will benefit by reading our transcendental literatures such as Srimad Bhagavatam and Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta dated November 10, 1974 at the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust, Hare Krishna Land, Juhu, Bombay.
Just see the depth of Prabhupada's Krishna consciousness. And this is the point, Vijaya Pandit. We should follow in his footsteps. In other words, how Prabhupada was seeing himself in relation to his guru, we have to see in relation to him as Prabhupada disciples. And we have to study very carefully these sentiments this insight that he's giving in the concluding words of these Caitanya-caritāmṛta volumes of information and purports. Is this a small thing? Is this just something you just read and you forget? Vani Vapu? Why is it that Yaśodā-nandana is stressing so much, do not change? Because the words of the spiritual master are considered to be Shastra, and they shouldn't be changed. That's why. And the potency. Here's another term that we should understand is very valuable. Shakti. Shakti means the power of the transcendental sound of the spiritual master, who is a via transparent medium from Krishna, is speaking to us. And it shouldn't be changed because it's non-different than Krishna himself. The sound and the form are the same. No, you never change things that are perfect. That's just crazy. Everybody knows that. Even if a songwriter produces a song, even in the karmi world, do you think he's going to say to people, okay, change the chords? Of course not. This is the chord. This is the way to do it. And if you don't do it, you get sued by the government, the copyright infringement. But some or other, all these changes have gone on, and this is unfortunate. And thank you very much, Yaśodā, for your wonderful explanation tonight at our program. And we're going to move forward with the next section of our discussion, Ram Raghava, which is, what is it?
Our living Guru.
Our living Guru. So we're going to go to that. We have all these sections of our subject matter that we're presenting to all of us. So everybody that hears or speaks or chants, everybody is benefited from it. So go ahead, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu. Haribol.
Well, we're reading from a little booklet, Our Living Guru, which explains many philosophical points that were being discussed in the 1980s and early 1990s. We're reading from section 2.8. Question. But in the January 1978 Remembering Srila Prabhupada issue of Back to Godhead, an editorial assures us that sincere, not perfected disciples may still act as gurus to maintain the eternal parampara disciplic succession. Isn't this true? Answer, true in a limited sense. A sincere neophyte disciple may act as a religious teacher, called an instructing Shiksha Guru, or as a sadhu, or a saintly inclined person. They may teach still newer adherents the discipline of the succession, which they receive from the completely Krishna conscious eternal preceptor Guru, in our case, Srila Prabhupada. In the long history of the Guru succession, there have been large time gaps between successors. For example, as much as a century elapsed between Narottam Das Thakur and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. What we have to remember is that the eternal disciplic succession is not of successive discipline, not of successive is one of successive discipline, not of successive non-realized persons who are merely imitating the fully liberated preceptor Guru. Thus, the actual role of a neophyte preacher in maintaining the disciplic succession is his surrendered move of humble service to their genuine, completely Krishna conscious, eternal preceptor Guru. Srila Prabhupada clearly explains the correct understanding of the so-called gaps in the disciplic succession in the letter to his disciple Dayananda Prabhu in 1968. Regarding, quote, regarding the parampara system, there is nothing to wonder for big gaps. we find in the Bhagavad Gita that the Gita was taught to the sun god some millions of years ago, but Krishna has mentioned only 3 names in the Parampara, namely Vivaswan, Manu, and Ikshvaku. And so these gaps do not hamper our understanding of the Parampara system. We have to pick up the prominent acharyas and follow from him. Acharya. There are many branches also from the Parampara system, and it's not possible to record all the branches and sub-branches in a disciplic succession. We have to pick up from the authority of the Acharya in whatever sampradaya we belong to. Let us ponder, if a non-realized deified disciple were sincere and humble, would he let others, even a tiny following, falsely see him as a fully realized eternal preceptor guru? Or would he heed the actual instruction of the eternal guru's discipline? One should not imitate the behavior of an advanced devotee or Mahabhagavata without being self-realized, for by such imitation, one will eventually become degraded. Nectar of Instruction, page 58. Thank you very much. Back to you in the studio. Hare Krishna.
Yaśodā Prabhu, these things are going on. It's unfortunate. But at the same time, there is a golden opportunity available for us to serve this mission. And I wanted to mention, just before we move to our next section of the program, that I've been informed about Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu by Bhaktivedanta Singh that he is going to be traveling to Nepal on October 23rd. So that means that the key person in our logistics department, like for example, I'll give you an example, Prabhus. One of our members sent me a note. He said, Prabhu, I never received my copies of the Delhi Bhagavatams, although I donated $108. I go, oh. So I asked him, I said, Prabhu, he's from Tennessee. He's a very educated man. I said, we don't have your address. And unfortunately, in the GoFundMe campaign, a lot of the data like that was not included in the donation. So you got your name on it, but we didn't get your contact information. So in future programs, we'll, of course, rectify that. But what we did was I said, well, listen, by the way, there's no problem. Can you send me your address and your contact information? So he immediately sent it to me. I immediately sent it to Ron Singh. Immediately. I said, Ron, we've got to send these books tomorrow to this person. Without hesitation, Ron took up the mission, and the next day he sent me the tracking information to send to this Prabhu so he would know when his books will arrive, and immediately we did that. So that's our system, by the way, that has been successfully executed by myself and him, actually. And it's a valuable service, and we're looking for someone who can take up his service. So we need somebody that will work with me in printing out the labels, taking them to the post office. Primarily, the books are being distributed in America, a lot of them. There's special mailing rates in America to send the books out, so it's a good thing. Like you can send one set. I sent one set to a Prabhu in Texas, and it was $10 for a set of 3. And then we send out boxes of sets of 5, and that's one way that we also. And Danishta in San Francisco, when she calls me, like a few weeks ago, she ordered 3 boxes, which is 20 sets of the Delhi Bhagavatams. And immediately we dispersed them to her. And she immediately got back to me and said, "Oh, thank you so much." So this type of service is a very valuable service for establishing our credibility, because a lot of people, they take advantage, they use these programs, these GoFundMe programs for themselves. That is not the purpose of our group. It is to disseminate this information of Prabhupada's original teachings to as many people globally. So we need people that are astute, that can work with us to do this. And we're planning a new campaign that I hate to say but I have created a new promotional piece that we're designing and we'll be putting into play. Ambika Devi Dasi in Alaska is going to help us with our online campaign. And in this way, we'll need support from other people in logistics to do this. Remember, devotional service is practical. There is a practical side to this. And I was talking to one of our God sisters. I said, the main thing that you have to do is get involved in service and let it consume you. If you're blessed, like we're blessed, I often talk to Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu like this. I say to him, Prabhu, you know what's good about what we're doing? We've got some service. It's that simple. And we're working on refining the group, refining our programs. We're constantly doing that. I've got a bunch of new things that we want to do. And one other thing, Ram Raghava, another request. We've got 2 plays. I just saw, someone sent me the link for this Nrsingadev movie, Yaśodā, in India. Okay. Well, did I like it? They asked me, because they want your review. Well, how did you like it, Vishva? Well, I didn't really like it. It was kind of hodgepodge, very hodgepodge. But I have 2 plays that I've adapted from the Srimad Bhagavatam. One is called A Prince of a Million Mothers, and the other is The Salvation of Adam, which is a story about the deliverance of Ajamil by the Vishnu Dutas, opposed to the Yamadutas. And if you're interested in participating in this, I'm working with a crew in India to create these shows. And if you're interested in this particular service, please get in touch with me. You can be one of the characters or one of the verses. And the plays are, what can I say? They're adapted from Srila Prabhupada's teachings. And to quote William Shakespeare, the play is the thing in which will capture the consciousness of the king. So these plays are from the Bhagavatam, and the soliloquies are quite extraordinary that Prabhupada produced in the Bhagavatam, and I adapted them to these plays. So we've got these 2 things. And then we also have these books, The Complete Guide to Self-Realization, which is now 3 volumes, that is still pending our completion. So all kinds of service. Here, let me change the quote. The service is the thing that'll catch the consciousness of the devotee. Bhakti yoga is practical. Look at another example, I'm sorry to carry on, Jayananda. Was Jayananda Yaśodā a big scholar? Was he? Did he get up in the class and show people, I know this verse, I know that verse? He was reluctant even to give a speech. He was so humble. He was realized. You realize philosophy by service and surrender, not by memorization necessarily. In other words, Krishna consciousness is hard work. It's something you have to commit time to. You mentioned it, Yaśodā. People don't have time because they make a choice not to have time. What's more important? Everything else. I've got to go to the store. I've got to fix my car. I've got to repair my house. I've got to pay the bills. I've got to see my wife. I've got to see my kids. I've got to do this or that. You don't have time because you make a choice. One last thing. I'm sorry to do this, Yaśodā, I apologize. I was talking to a friend of mine in Florida. I've known this Prabhu, this fellow, he's a Karmi, since 1965. In Windsor, when I was getting introduced to Motown and all that type of thing, he was a good bass player. And somehow or other recently, about 10 years ago, I got rehooked to him. And over the years, he chants Hare Krishna, Ram Raghava. He'll say Hare Krishna. Now, every time, like if I end the conversation, we could talk all this garbage about music because we met Jimi Hendrix and Paul Butterfield and all these famous musicians and saw them play in the past. So he lives on that. Oh, wow. We both met Jimi Hendrix. We talked to him and saw him play. But he said to me yesterday, he says, well, you know, Bob, what I do is I categorize my life on every time I lease a new BMW. Very interesting. And he goes, yeah, I lease a brand new BMW, a $55,000 car, every 3 years. I said, you know something, that's interesting. Because there was a famous king, Maharaj Parikshit. He did his measurement of time in 7 days. That Maharaj Parikshit, I told him this. He was cursed by a Brahmin boy improperly to die in 7 days. And what he did, Prabhu, Ted, my friend, he prepared himself for death. And that's what you should do. Not calculate your life on the basis of when you lease a new BMW every 3 years, but you base it on every week that you live. You're 79 now. Who knows how long we'll live, but understand death is imminent and you will be able to save yourself by chanting the holy name. And then I said to him, okay, Ted, Hare Krishna. And guess what he said back to me? Hare Krishna, Bobby. And we hung up. So this is the point. The moral of the story is, use your time intelligently, everyone, and dovetail yourself. When you get a chance to serve, run up to the front of the line and raise your hand and go like this. Prabhu, I'll do it. That's enthusiasm, confidence, and determination. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. What's next, Prabhu? Ram Raghava.
Next is the Srila Prabhupada lecture excerpt.
Okay, we're going to do a Srila Prabhupada lecture. Gee, this class is going on. Haribol Prabhus, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. We're going to listen carefully to Srila Prabhupada.
Nor do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them. The sons of Dhritarashtra, whom, if we killed, we should not care to live, are now standing before us on this battlefield.
So these two groups of cousin brothers, Maharaj Pandu had 5 sons and Dhritarashtra had 100 sons. So it is family, the same family. And it was understanding between them that when others beyond the family would come to attack them, they would join 105 brothers and fight. But when there was fight amongst themselves, one side 100 brothers, one side 5 brothers. Because a Kshatriya family, it is to be understood, they must go on fighting. Even in their marriage, there would be fighting. Without fighting, no marriage takes place in Kshatriya family. Krishna had 16,108 wives, and almost in each time he had to fight to gain the wife. It was a sporting for Kshatriya to fight, it was a sporting. So, he is perplexed whether this kind of fighting he should encourage or not. There is a proverb in Bengal, "Khabo ki khabo na, jodi khao to pous." When you are perplexed whether I shall eat or not eat, better not eat. Sometimes we come to this point, I am not very hungry, whether I shall eat or not eat. The best course is not eat, not that you eat. But if you eat, then you can eat in the month of December. Pous. Why? It is in Bengal. Bengal is a tropical climate. But when it is winter season, it is advised that if you eat, it is not so harmful, because it will be digested. The night is very long, or the cold season, the digestive power is nice. So when we are confused to do or not to do, jabo ki jabo na, jodi jao to shouche. When I think whether I shall go or not, better don't go. But when it is a question of answering the call of nature, you must go. Jabo ki jabo na, jodi jao to shouch. Khavo ki khavo na, jodi khao to pous. These are very common sense. Similarly, Arjuna is now perplexed whether I shall fight or not fight. That is also everywhere. When there is declaration of war between the modern politicians, they consider, it's like in the last Second World War, when Hitler was preparing for war, everyone knew that Hitler was going to retaliate because in the first war they became defeated. So Hitler was again preparing. One, my godbrother, German, he came in 1933 in India. So at that time he informed that there must be war. Hitler is preparing, heavy preparation. War must be there. So at that time, I think in your country, the Prime Minister was Mr. Chamberlain. And he went to see Hitler to stop the war. But he would not. So, similarly, in this fight, to the last point, Krishna tried to avoid the war. He proposed to Duryodhana that they are Kshatriyas, your cousin brothers, you have usurped their kingdom, never mind, you have taken somewhere else. But they are Kshatriyas, they must have some means of livelihood, so give them 5 brothers, 5 villages. Out of the whole world empire, you give them 5 villages. You know, I'm not going to part with an inch of land without fight. Therefore, under such condition, the fight must be there.
It's a fight of good over evil, of demons and the devotees. This is a war. In this modern age, we're not trying to destroy people, but the demoniac mentality of the people, the deviant misunderstanding, misinformation, campaigns that have been launched by those fake gurus who are after profit, adoration, and distinction. That's our war. We're not fault finders, we're fact finders. Let's go forward with our next section. The 10 offenses of the holy name. Please pay attention.
Nectar of Devotion, Chapter 8, Offenses to be Avoided. The offenses against the chanting of the holy name are as follows. First, to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. Second, to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. Sometimes the atheistic class of men take it that any demigod is as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. But one who is a devotee knows that no demigod, however great he may be, is independently as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, if someone thinks that he can chant Kali, Kali or Durga, Durga, and it is the same as Hare Krishna, that is the greatest offense. Third, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master. Fourth, to blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature in pursuance of the Vedic version. Fifth, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. Sixth, to give some interpretation on the holy name of the Lord. Seventh, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name of the Lord. Because by chanting the holy name of the Lord, one can be freed from all kinds of sinful reactions. It should not be taken that one may continue to act sinfully and after that chant Hare Krishna to neutralize his sins. Such a dangerous mentality is very offensive and should be avoided. 8. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities. Karma Kanda. 9th, to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. Anyone can take part in chanting the holy name of the Lord, but in the beginning one should not be instructed about the transcendental potency of the Lord. Those who are too sinful cannot appreciate the transcendental glories of the Lord, and therefore it is better not to instruct them in this matter. 10th, to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names, and to maintain material attachments, even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success.
Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Hare
Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Hare
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Ram
Hare Rama,
Hare Hare
Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Ram
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare
Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Ram Hare Hare
Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Krishna
Rama,
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare
Krishna
Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Krishna Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Hare
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 Rama,
Krishna
Hare Rama, Rama
Krishna
Rama,
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram
Hare Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Hare Hare
Krishna, Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare Rama,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Krishna Hare
Rama
Hare
Rama, Hare
Hare Ram
Hare Krishna, Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Hare Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare Rama,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Hare Hare
Rama Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Ram
Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare Rama,
Krishna
Hare Rama,
Krishna Hare
Rama
Hare
Rama, Hare
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 Ram
Krishna, Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Rama, Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Hare Hare
Rama Hare
Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna,
Hare Krishna
Hare Rama, Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Hare Hare
Rama Hare
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 Ram
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare Krishna Krishna
Rama,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Hare
Rama Rama,
Hare
Hare Hare Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Hare Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare
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 Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare Hare
Rama,
Ram, Hare
Rama
Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Hare
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 Ram, Hare
Rama, Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Ram
Rama
Ram,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare. Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare
Hare Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Ram
Hare Rama,
Ram, Hare
Rama
Hare.
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Rama, Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Hare.
Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Hare.
Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare Ram,
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Ram, Hare Hare. Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Rama, Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Krishna
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Hare. Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram, Hare
Krishna
Hare.
Hare Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Hare. Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Hare.
Hare
Hare Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Hare.
Rama
Hare
Rama
Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Hare.
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Rama,
Hare.
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Ram,
Rama
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Ram,
Rama
Ram
Rama
Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Hare.
Hare
Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram,
Rama
Hare
Rama
Hare.
Hare
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 Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Hare.
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram,
Rama
Hare
Rama
Hare.
Rama Rama
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Rama, Rama Rama
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare.
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram, Ram
Rama,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Hare.
Rama Rama
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Ram
Hare Rama,
Ram,
Rama
Hare Hare.
Rama Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Hare.
Rama Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Hare.
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare
Hare
Hare.
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Hare Rama,
Ram
Rama
Ram,
Rama, Rama
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Hare
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 Ram,
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram, Hare Hare,
Krishna, Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare Rama,
Krishna
Rama
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare
Hare,
Rama, Rama
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Rama, Rama
Ram,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Hare,
Hare Rama, Rama
Hare
Rama,
Ram,
Hare
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 Ram,
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna, Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Krishna
Rama
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Hare,
Hare Rama, Rama
Hare
Rama,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare, Hare
Hare Rama,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Ram,
Rama
Ram
Rama,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Rama, Hare
Krishna, Hare
Rama, Rama
Hare,
Rama, Hare
Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Krishna, Krishna
Ram, Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Krishna,
Rama, Hare
Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Hare,
Rama Rama, Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare Hare
Krishna,
Ram Hare
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram Hare
Hare,
Hare
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 Ram, Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna Krishna
Ram
Hare Hare Hare
Ram, Hare
Ram Hare
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram Hare
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 Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare
Hare,
Hare Hare
Hare
Ram Hare
Ram, Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram
Ram
Ram Hare Hare
Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram Ram
Krishna
Hare Hare
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare
Krishna Krishna
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare
Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram,
Ram Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Chant and be happy.
Let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees. Vanchakalpata rubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances. We all offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen soul. Thanks, everybody, for participating in this lively reading and discussion. Vishwakarma Prabhu in Yaltopec, Mexico, Ram Raghava Prabhu and his good mother, Rashikeshwari Devi Dasi, and his father, Viprahita Prabhu, from Georgia, Rochisa Mataji dans la belle province de Quebec, Vijay Pandit, not too far from here, right here in Twain Harte, Priya Chowdhury, wherever you are, welcome. Forest Temple in Baja California, Shesharupa Mataji in South India, Krishna Kata Prabhu in San Diego, Bhakta Roy in Mississippi, Shamasundar Prabhu, the Samosa King in Australia, Michael Dillon in Yuba City, California, Virabhadra Prabhu in South India, Rupesh Chauhan in Bombay, and whoever is listening, thank you for participating. Back to you in the studio. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
We want to invite everybody to come on Saturday morning for the reading from the Delhi Bhagavatams, Vijaya Pandit. Those books are very valuable books. And remember, it's a limited edition printing, and we have some sets left. So if you can be a part of the book distribution, please call me, and we can discuss how you can participate. So thank you again, everyone, and we'll look forward to seeing you on Saturday morning as part of this Sadhana Bhakti PhD program. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I'm listening.
Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Play that bass, chant their peace. Don't be shy, chant along, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Bo, Hare Hare Bo, Hare Bo, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Bo, Hare Bo, Hare Bo, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Hare Bo, Hare Hare Bo, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare Hare, Hare